I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Rutherford weather.
Cloudy skies tonight with a slight chance for storms. Lows around 67. High temperatures reach up to 84. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun. I'm WGNS meteorologist Derek Height. Right now, 84.
We do it your way at Sir Pizza.
Murfreesboro's favorite pizza is now hiring at all 3 locations. That's right. Join the Sir Pizza team. Just stop on in and ask for a manager.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com.
From the first pitch to the final buzzer, this is where the conversation starts. All sports talk on WGNS and Big G TV, covering the Preps, MTSU, news from Tennessee and nationwide. Now, here's All Sports Talk on the Good Neighbor Network.
Yes, it's your favorite show and mine. Well, maybe not, but it is a show here on WGNS, the Good Neighbor Network. All Sports Talk back for another night. I am your host, Dylan Simmons, and hope you're enjoying your Thursday, another warm day in the mid-state. Peaking in the mid-80s today. Yeah, I know, it's, well, some of you probably really enjoy that. For me, I'm like, it's a little warm, especially when I'm trying to run in the morning, work out, whatever the case may be. It's a little unfortunate to be waking up to 70-degree temperatures, but you know what? We'll make it through as we always do, and for some of you, you may very well embrace that. So whatever side of the fence you land on with that, hopefully you're enjoying the warmer weather. We've got another great show coming your way tonight. We're going to talk MTSU baseball. We'll also talk MTSU men's tennis on a bit of a hot streak right now. Both of those will get their own spotlight features coming up later tonight. We'll preview the Final Four for March Madness for both men's and women's basketball. And we'll talk a little bit more about what we can expect from this weekend of NASCAR action. And I'll give my opinion on the current short track situation here in the US of A. So without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll start with MTSU baseball tonight and their massive series, which you can hear, by the way, right here on WGNS, as they take on the Jacksonville State Gamecocks in Jacksonville, AL. All right, so yesterday we talked a lot about the Blue Raider baseball team and their big series win over New Mexico State. Goes without saying, it was a huge series win as far as dehydrated again, building momentum and getting a better record overall in CUSA play. But tonight they've got a really big challenge ahead of them, bigger than I would say any they've faced this season, at least on paper. Jacksonville State is a different breed of cat, as the great Jim Ross would put it. They're playing at a level right now that is very few, if any, teams are matching it. 13-4 at home, 10-2 on the road, 24-6 overall through 30 games, with, of course, their signature, a 9-0 record in CUSA play. No team in CUSA history has ever gotten this far into conference play still undefeated, but Jacksonville State can claim that. Now, for some people, they may look at that and say, well, who's their competition been? I don't care who it's been. To win 9 straight conference games, especially in this world of college baseball where things are so competitive here at the, G5, whatever you want to call it, level, to be able to do that and separate yourself by that margin is really, really impressive. And, you do wonder if Jacksonville State continues at that level of play, whether they could, make a run potentially down the line. I'm talking postseason, regional, super regional. All of that's on the table for them right now. But there's a lot of questions that they still have to answer and that will be answered as the course of this season continues. But, when you look at CUSA right now, no one has really been able to match Jacksonville State, both in the standings, record-wise, whatever the case is. When you look at it, nobody's within 3 games of them at the moment. Liberty, Dallas Baptist, and Missouri State three teams that were going to be considered contenders going into the season, all of them are sitting at 6-3. So Conference USA has kind of been a conference of chaos so far, in that a lot of the juggernauts have taken losses that maybe they didn't expect to take or were kind of shocked to take, and it's allowed for, you know, a true champion to arise from the ashes of everybody else, and that's kind of what Jacksonville State has become. Now, keep this in mind. Like I said, they have not matched up with either of those three teams, none of them. So that could be a window into why their record is what it is. But again, you gotta take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's really impressive no matter what the case is. So unless something catastrophic happens down the stretch, Jacksonville State is certainly in the driver's seat to be the #1 overall seed in conference play. And I don't see any reason why, if they're at the level we think they are, that they can't accomplish that. So I'm interested to see how they do from here on out. They swept Sam Houston, beat Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Now, again, not the best of the best in CUSA, but solid series win. Solid series wins. Whoa. However, the thought may come across the mind of people that they haven't really been tested like that going into this weekend. But I almost think that it's more impressive what they've done out of conference. They almost beat a number 16 Alabama just this past Tuesday at home. They have series wins over Memphis and Toledo as well. And they play about as consistently as anybody outside the conference when it comes to CUSA teams. So their rise is not just backed up by what they've done in conference, but also what they've been able to do away from conference opponents. So you have to put a lot of stock in that in addition to everything else. Their identity this year, pretty simple. It's all about their pitching ability. And they have a tremendous staff and a great defense to back those pitchers up. In many situations, that's how they've been able to keep games close with teams that would just beat them down on paper. As far as my research shows, they've given up just 10 runs, or have given up 10 runs just one time this season, and that was the very first game of the year that they played against Cincinnati back in February. Now that's almost impossible for me to even believe, but it is possible that I overlooked something when I was looking back at all the stats, so that may not be completely clairvoyant, but I do think even still, the fact that I couldn't find anything initially kind of tells you just how good the pitching staff and the defense have been. And dominance is putting it lightly when it comes to what they've been able to accomplish this year. The staff itself is headed by Eli Pillsbury, continues to deliver game in, game out, a .91 ERA, a 184 opposing batting average, 48 strikeouts among a lot of different stats. He's got the best ERA in Conference USA right now. In many ways, you could see him as the most dominant pitcher. He's got the third most innings pitched, third most strikeouts. More often than not, he's the Friday starter for Jacksonville State, and I expect that he'll be the starter tonight against MTSU. Unquestionably, he is the staff ace and maybe the ace of Conference USA right now. If you want a comparison to an MTSU player, he is definitely Jacksonville State's Chandler Alderman. Enunciation is not my strong suit tonight. That's what he is for Jacksonville State, though. He is hugely reliable in big moments, and he's a guy that you can rely on to get 5 to 7 innings pitched in a game. That kind of reliability and notoriety is big to have, and I would guess that it will be him and Alderman tonight in one heck of a duel. That would be my hunch. Now, it's not just him. There are several great pitchers on this roster. Stephen Cash and Bo Bryans come to mind, not to mention the plethora of great bullpen guys that they have waiting in the wings. I've said this a lot across several broadcasts, but the cliche holds the same. If you want to get a hit against Jacksonville State, you're going to have to earn it. Their pitchers are going to test you for everything you're worth, and you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to rely on the usual strengths of your team to just carry you through. And that applies to MTSU tonight as well, which we'll get into this a little bit more later. But you can't rely on your usual productivity to bail you out of a situation like this because the opposing team has a pitching unit that's just that good. We saw how that played out for MTSU against Missouri State a few weeks back, and I'm sure they're hoping that that doesn't happen tonight and Friday and Saturday against Jacksonville State, but it won't be easy by any means. So that's going to be a big thing to keep in mind here. Now, the big key for MTSU is that they're going to have to match pitching for pitching. A lot of times in these games, and I think this is a cardinal rule for any athletic competition, sporting event, whatever the case may be, it's the unknowns that end up being the things that jeopardize you, the things that aren't as consistent, the things that you don't have locked down quite as well at this point in the season. That's what sometimes keeps you away from winning a game or a series. This is where your best starting pitchers like Chandler Alderman, Drew Horn, they're going to have to be at their absolute best. And I don't want to put unfair pressure on them, but there's no doubt, and I'm sure they understand this as well, they're going to have to set up MTSU really well, because we know Jacksonville State is going to do their darndest to keep MTSU limited as far as run productivity goes. So if you want to match Jacksonville State, you got to have the pitching to do it. MTSU has certainly had the starting pitching this season, but they're going to need those guys to step up for certain in order to keep them in contention here. No questions asked. I don't even think about the bats for MTSU, not to disrespect them either, because I know they're going to go out there and produce at a big rate. That's why they're not as much of an unknown. I know, and I bake that in when I think about my assumptions of the series, because they've just been so consistent at raking, getting big hits this season. We saw what they did in the series against New Mexico State. We saw what they did against Kennesaw State. A little less so against Missouri State, but still were able to contend in a couple of those games and could have won the series under different circumstances. So I don't think as much about the bats for MTSU, because, again, I kind of know what I'm going to get from them. They're going to consistently get huge runs, big performances. I have little doubt that that's going to be continued this weekend. I do think it could be slightly dampered just because of the level of Jacksonville State's pitching, but I will not believe, in my heart of hearts, I don't think they're going to be fully shut down. That would be my expectation for this. The biggest X factors in this game are the Jack State bats and the MTSU bullpen, and that goes for the whole series as well. The Gamecocks have good bats, but I don't think they're quite at the level of MTSU in overall production. MTSU is much more of a high-volume scoring team. They're big on home runs. They're big on extra base hits. They're going to do their best to get that game in and game out, and that, a lot of times, is what sprung them to victory. We saw on Sunday when MTSU took on the Aggies, Lane Akers ends up getting a massive grand slam in the first inning, and they're able to use that as kind of a springboard to the rest of the game. That's kind of how they've operated in different points this season. Now, here's the thing. The MTSU bullpen at times has allowed other teams to make up ground and put themselves back in contention for a win. If you'll remember back to last Saturday, MTSU ended up nearly losing the second game of the series against New Mexico State after they made up some pretty huge ground, being down 8-3. MTSU ended up winning that game, but only by 1 run. And I'm sure that was a wake-up call, or at least a reminder to Jerry Myers, the bullpen, whoever else is involved, that we can't rest on our laurels. We have to be at our absolute best here, because our opponents have some real talent, and we can't let off the throttle for anything, especially in this competitive conference that is CUSA. You cannot allow your opponent a window back into it, because more often than not, they're going to open that window and get into the house and make it a lot more of a difficult situation than you were hoping for. And we've seen that happen in a few games this season where MTSU's bullpen has let up some runs late, and it's ended up putting MTSU in a bad spot. Didn't cost them against New Mexico State, but very well could have. They've got to make sure they're aware of that. If you've got a lead against Jacksonville State going into the 6th, 7th inning, whatever the case is, you have to have your bullpen aligned. Those guys have to be at their best, and they've got to make sure they don't leave the window of opportunity open for the Gamecocks to get back in the game. So pretty much finishing the job is going to be huge for MTSU. But I'm sure that Coach Myers, I know that the staff, they understand that. They're encouraging their bullpen, and I expect we'll get some solid performances. But that's going to be the biggest X factor in my mind, is seeing how they manage the Jack State lineup with that bullpen late in games. Now, let's talk briefly about the potential ramifications of a series win. If MTSU is able to claim this series, all of a sudden, you got to imagine that everything opens up for them in a different way. 5-4 right now in the CUSA standings. They could easily get up to 2nd or 3rd position if they're able to put together a series win here. Because you're taking Jacksonville State, who's 9-0, you hand them a couple losses, all of a sudden you're sitting at, what would that be? Basically 7-5, if my math is correct, and you got Jack State at 8-3, and it's, or not 8-3, you would be, they'd be 10-3 in that situation, or 10-2, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out. Math's not working today. But you put them in a bit of a tougher spot. You boost yourself above some other teams. You keep pace in CUSA, and you stay with the juggernauts at the top of the conference. MTSU can announce themselves as a juggernaut if they're able to get a series win here. Especially going to Jacksonville State and pulling that off, it would be massive. And remember, nobody's taken a CUSA win off of them this season. What if MTSU is the first team to do it? They've had a knack of accomplishing stuff like this in the past. Remember, they went to Dallas Baptist and picked up a win a few years ago in a road series. They could very well do that again here against Jacksonville State, and all of a sudden, you got to reevaluate MTSU maybe for an outsider as to just how good they can be. This would not only put them in prime contention for the CUSA tournament, obviously, but would push them to the top as one of those teams that could win the whole Conference USA championship and maybe make a run into the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot on the line, no question about it, for MTSU. They've got to go out there and prove something to themselves, prove something to their opponents, and maybe Conference USA in general, that yes, they can hang, yes, they have that ability, and they have the players and staff needed to become a championship-level opponent in CUSA. They're going to have to give Jacksonville State their best shot, no doubt about it, but I believe they have the capability to do that. I believe they have the guys to do that, and they just have to put the pieces together and be confident. Either way, it's going to be a fun series. That will air tonight on WGNS to start. 5:45 pregame with 6 o'clock first pitch. Dick Palmer is on the call in Jacksonville for that series. All right, when we come back, we'll talk the NASCAR Truck and O'Reilly series going to Rockingham and the MTSU tennis team getting ready for another big matchup. All that and more coming up on All Sports Talk.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball, benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
We can get surprisingly great rates on auto and renter's insurance at State Farm. Hello, I'm State Farm Agent Deb Insel, and we're your one-stop shop for protecting your car and your stuff for a surprisingly great rate. So stop looking around. Team Insel is ready to help. Call 931-684-5274 for your surprisingly great auto and renter's rate today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know, everyone has a more. First, it's a pony, then to be on the cheer squad. Your more grows up just like you do, but your more can still carry you away or make you cheer. At First Bank, banking local gets you more. More of our time, more access to local bankers, more flexibility, and more product choices. Because getting more empowered and confident helps you pursue your more that never grows old. First Bank. Bank local, get more. Member FDIC.
Every team knows which play can be a winning move. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack, here to help life go right by combining your home and auto insurance. Call me today at 615-890-0850. It's a winning move that saves you time and money. Your ride, your stuff. You live with them together. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack. It's smart to protect them together to help life go right. Give me a call at 615-890-0850 and let me help you save by combining your auto and renters.
When illness or injury turns everyday moments into uphill battles, there are medical professionals who step in with skill, compassion, and unwavering dedication. My name is Joey P. I'm CEO of Murfreesboro Medical Clinic, and we are proud to highlight this month's MMC Heart for Healing recipient.
We recognize Dr. Sean Horwitz, a surgeon at MMC, whose reputation is built on as much his heart as it is his hands. Dr. Horwitz makes every patient feel like his priority. Whether performing complex robotic surgery or providing life-changing breast care, he combines elite technical precision with a rare, compassionate touch that truly defines him. Dr. Sean Horwitz, our MMC Heart for Healing.
If a doctor, nurse, or medical professional has made a difference in your life, tell WGNS. Help us recognize the medical heroes in our community by nominating them for the MMC Heart for Healing Award, and help us recognize the medical heroes in our community.
Good afternoon. Here's what we're seeing. Slow traffic now as it starts to get heavier out in Wilson County. 40 east there at 840 just outside of Lebanon. It's just crawling here on 65 northbound. Again this afternoon, trying to get past Rivergate Parkway. That's made it extra slow, trying to push up through Madison as well. On 65 northbound, lots of radar all over Middle Tennessee. Give yourself extra time. Culture Cannon Nashville is your one-stop shop for high-quality CBD products with 2 locations, Hermitage and Madison. Just Google Culture Cannon Nashville. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
Yes. All Sports Talk back here on a Thursday evening. Dylan Simmons with you. Hope you're having a great Thursday in the Murfreesboro area and hope you enjoy the weekend of sports. I know we've got the Final Four coming up with March Madness, men's and women's basketball. Excited to see who will take home the national championship. Just for reference, I'm picking UConn in the women's bracket to win the national title, and I'm going to go with Michigan in the men's bracket. If you want a full breakdown on that, you can check out yesterday's episode. We may briefly talk about it today if we have time for it, but we've got a little bit more to get to in the second segment. There will be no third segment today due to MTSU baseball airing at 5:45 for pregame, so this will be our final segment. 15 minutes and we'll get right down to it. I've got a little bit to talk about when it comes to NASCAR today, and I know some people may be confused about that. Well, the Cup Series isn't in action this weekend. They're taking off for Easter weekend. Well, that does not mean that there isn't NASCAR taking place. The O'Reilly Series and Truck Series both in action in Rockingham, North Carolina at the Rock. A tremendous racetrack, and I think it's going to be a really, really fun race. As far as Rockingham goes, there's always tremendous racing there. There's a very passionate fan base in that area of the country as well for NASCAR, for obvious reasons. There are a lot of great tracks in North Carolina, Charlotte, Rockingham, North Wilkesboro. There could be one that I'm keeping off the list, but it's a very good hotbed for NASCAR racing. In many ways, it's NASCAR's heartland, and there's a reason that a lot of fans love to make pilgrimages out there to go watch races at some point in North Carolina. But the Rock to me is a really underrated track, and I'm glad that it's getting this opportunity with the O'Reilly cars and the truck racing. I do think, and this is me kind of just voicing my wishes out here, I do wish that we could potentially get a Cup race at Rockingham. And something tells me that that might be what the end goal is. I think that Rockingham with the trucks and the O'Reilly cars is probably a litmus test to see if Cup racing can work there, which I think you got to look at the results from the last year's truck race and be like, yeah, absolutely, because fans came out in droves on Easter weekend to go see that race. They always pack the stands, it seems like, at Rockingham, and it produces awesome racing. The trucks race like bandits there in Rockingham, and I'm sure the O'Reilly cars will as well, and I would have no doubt that the next gen Cup cars could have a really solid race. As I just dropped something, never mind that here in the studio. But I really think that it would be awesome to see a Cup race, and I think eventually we will get there. I feel like NASCAR is kind of testing the waters. Let's try the O'Reilly cars out. Let's try the NASCAR Truck Series racing out there and see what happens. But I think Rockingham deserves it. They have not had a Cup Series date since 2004, and I think NASCAR could use more tracks like that. I mean, you have your mile and a half, so you've got your big super speedways, and you have your short tracks, but Rockingham's kind of its own thing. It's very different from any other track that NASCAR has. It's got high banking, very winding kind of banked straights that are just really interesting. The back straightaway, the tri-oval, I think is awesome. There's been great racing, great finishes. You think Kenseth and Casey Kane back in 2004 in that last Rockingham race. Why NASCAR left, I really don't know. It may have been a sign of the times or a symptom of the times, but I really think NASCAR should go back with the Cup Series, and I believe they will. I mean, it's been 22 years, and I just think The Rock deserves it. So many good races, so many good memories there. Even Steve Park and Bobby Labonte back in 2001. Go watch that race, too, because that was an awesome one right after the unfortunate passing of Dale Sr. That was a great race, emotional race, and one that I think lives in the heads of a lot of NASCAR fans, and for good reason. But, I was thinking more about it and how great Rockingham is and how I'd like to see more races there. And it got me thinking about, what are some tracks that I would like to see NASCAR go to. So that's kind of what I want to take some time to do now that we've reached the topic here. The thing about NASCAR going to different and new tracks. I like the idea of expanding the market, trying out new stuff. I do think you want to have a balance of that. You want to be innovative, but you also want to maintain the great tradition that NASCAR has used that's helped them to stay relevant in the eyes of a lot of the core fan base and has kept a lot of that core fan base around. And I would like to see ventures into tracks that NASCAR has been at in the past. I think that could be a really good thing for the sport. It would reinvest goodwill for the fans. Now, they've kind of already taken the strategy, and that's why I think NASCAR is in a better place now than it was, 10 years ago under the Brian France regime, because they're willing to be bolder, willing to take more risk, which is why I think it's almost a guarantee that they will go to Rockingham for the Cup Series at some point in the future. But one track that I think for sure has to be considered is the Nashville Fairground Speedway. So just to warn everyone, with this section, opinions are incoming. So you may or may not like exactly what I'm about to say, but just try to respect it. I think that the NASCAR Cup Series should absolutely come back to that racetrack, and it would be a proven money race if they did. One thing I know living in the mid-state area, and you can talk to a lot of fans around here, they love NASCAR Cup Series racing. It may not be what it once was in the eyes of some fans, but they still love going out to the racetrack. They love the environment, and the fairgrounds used to be hopping. They had Cup Series racing there in the past, and it was a great place to watch a race. You had races there in the 70s, clear into the 80s. I think 1984 was the final Cup race at the fairgrounds with Jeff Bodine winning, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it would be awesome to see them go back. You had great winners there like Darrell Waltrip. I think Richard Petty won a race out there, and I think it's important to maybe respect that legendary legacy and get Cup racing back out to Nashville. I want to see it back in the mid-state area, and I think a lot of fans would too. And heck, even the O'Reilly Series raced there clear into the 1990s. Nashville is a big racing market. IndyCar has been there. They had the street course race, of course, at Nashville, and even on the Super Speedway. Cup Series has been racing on the Super Speedway as well. And I honestly think we could do this in a way where we keep the Super Speedway and the short track, because to be honest, I love both of them, and I don't want to see either one have to go. So here's a pitch that I have, and you can follow me on this one. You may like this, you may not, but here's what I'm thinking. We have back-to-back weekends at Nashville, kind of like how Charlotte used to do for the All-Star race and the Coke 600. You get a race at the Super Speedway one weekend, and then a race at the fairgrounds the next weekend. That may or may not be a good idea, but what you could do is have some sort of ticket package to where if you buy a certain ticket, it gets you into both races. I think that could be a really fun idea, and it would give us two great races back-to-back in the Nashville market. People would be hopping for that. Can you imagine the money that could be made from those two races being back-to-back and the different variety of tracks? It would be sensational. So I would love to see races both at the fairgrounds and the Super Speedway. If both parties were okay with it, if everyone was all right with making that happen, I think it could be a real moneymaker for NASCAR. So I'm just saying, it would be awesome, and I think it would attract a lot of fans. So maybe look into that if you're interested in NASCAR. But, I know that there's a debate on the fairgrounds, and really it's emblematic of a bigger demise in short track racing, which is, I think it's honestly just terrible to see what's happening to a lot of short tracks in America. I just heard about Greenville Pickens Speedway in South Carolina having their issues with potentially the track closing down or not closing down, or maybe something else is going on. It's a big mess right now. To me, local short track racing in America is great, and it should be respected as the history and exciting outing that it is. It brings communities together. A lot of fans love it. They even have it up in Alaska. When I was up there interning for a baseball team, I ended up going to a few races at the Alaska Raceway Park. They love it up there. It is a vibrant part to me of North America, and it's an experience that I just think can provide a lot of great memories. And I hate to see the amount of short tracks that are being closed, sold off, demolished, whatever the case is. I just think it's a shame. I think it's a real shame. And if there's a way to keep around more short tracks, I think we absolutely need to do it. And, of course, there's been the debate about the Fairground Speedway. And I'm not trying to, get into all the debate over it and whether it's right or wrong. But what I will say is I think that the Fairgrounds has earned its spot. It's been there for a long time. And it's been holding racing for over 100 years. And there are plenty of places to have things happen that don't interfere with that. So I think that the Fairgrounds absolutely needs to stay for one, and two, needs to have Cup Series racing, because I think people would absolutely love it. And if you don't like it being there, then what I would suggest is, you probably chose to live there if you are near the racetrack. And if you didn't anticipate that before moving there, I don't know what to tell you. At the end of the day, that was your decision. And, if you don't like it, the best I can tell you is you might need to move, try something else, because the racetrack's always been there. And there should have been forewarning on that if you didn't know ahead of time. But all that being said, I do think short tracks need to keep going, and NASCAR needs to go to more of them. I think Nashville, like I said, is a good one. I want to see them go back to the fairgrounds. I would love to see them try, there's a racetrack out in Colorado. I'd love to see them try a short track out there that they can maybe soup up and get some racing, because we need good racing in the Rocky Mountain area. They really don't have it. I'd love to see it out there in that part of the country. And maybe like Stafford Speedway in Connecticut. I'm not sure if they could host a big-time Cup Series race, but I'd love to see the Northeast get another track, because New Hampshire's kind of their only thing right now, and I think it's one race a year at this point. So Stafford could be a lot of fun, bring some local short track racing back to the forefront. They've had some great wheel and modified races up there. But that's me kind of just, putting some ideas out there, and there could be flaws in them. I mean, they probably are. I'm just spitballing right now. So, but if you've got any recommendations, let me know, because I'd love to talk more about it, and maybe we could even have you on the show to discuss what you think should be done about the short track situation in America and where NASCAR could go. So after all that, again, the Cup Series is off this weekend. The O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series is going to Rockingham. So check out those races tomorrow and the next day, Friday and Saturday. Going to be fantastic, and support local short track racing is what I'll say. Lastly, want to briefly go over MTSU men's tennis. I haven't talked about them in a bit. Much like the baseball team, it's been kind of just due to other circumstances and a lot of other stuff going on. But I'll talk about them today because, believe it or not, we are inching closer and closer to the eventual Conference USA tournament, which is going to be held in Murfreesboro, in case you need a reminder. So, like I've said before, once the tournament comes around, get out to Murfreesboro and go see the tennis matchup, because I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really cool. CUSA tournament always is, and it's going to be an entertaining time, make no mistake. Blue Raider men's tennis 19-7 on the year. They've been on a tear against their most recent opponents. Team has wins over Tennessee State, Tulane, William and Mary this past weekend, and they continue to dominate opponents who are from quote-unquote bigger conferences. Bertan Duran got the honors as CUSA Athlete of the Week, which at this point is all but an expectation for MTSU. I mean, if they don't have a player end up getting that honor, it's going to be just like, it's like, what? It's shocking. So, not a surprise to see an MTSU player win it, but happy for Bertan. He's absolutely earned it this season. And we also got a couple of doubles winners for MTSU. Antoine Mayoral and Andre Horak end up as the doubles team of the week, and I think that's been a huge strength for MTSU this year. Didn't expect Mayoral and Horak to end up as a doubles team at the start of the season, but again, it shows just how willing they are to switch things up, make things work. Jimmy Borendame, if you've ever known him, he is not one to run away from change or making things better for his team, to give his guys the best possible chance of winning. That's what he's doing here, and I think that it paid off in a big way, obviously, with the wins that they picked up. I mean, you're talking Tulane, who's historically a very solid team in the American. William and Mary, who's given MTSU some tough matchups in the past. To get wins over them, both of them at home, really, really impressive. This Blue Raider men's tennis team, especially at the ATC or at the Outdoor Buck Bolden Complex, they've been incredible all season. And really, historically, that's been the case. But especially this year, they're playing really good. Still searching for a big signature ranked win this year. I think that'll be coming down the line, and they'll have more chances to do that, I would say, maybe in the NCAA tournament. That is, if they win the Conference USA tournament, but they're certainly set up to do so. They're on a break right now due to the Easter weekend. Funny enough, their last 2 games of the regular season are next Friday against Memphis and Bellarmine. Both of those will be here in Murfreesboro. So I'm telling you, it is coming up fast. And if you're a fan of MTSU men's tennis, make sure you go out there and see these matchups while you can, because it won't be too much longer that they won't be in Murfreesboro anymore this season. You've got these 2 matchups and then the CUSA tournament. So get out there and support this team and support their run, because I think they've got a great opportunity and a great almost expectation to take home that 7th straight Conference USA championship. The search for the 7-peat has been ongoing all season. This team looks just as poised as ever to get that done and join the legendary groups of MTSU men's tennis. So looking forward to that. Best of luck to them. That's going to do it for this Thursday's edition of All Sports Talk. We will be back next week with another exciting couple of episodes. Make sure you tune in after this show's over for the Blue Raider Insider Report and Blue Raider Baseball on WGNS with Dick Palmer. Blue Raiders taking on Jacksonville State for the first of a 3-game series, trying to hand them their first loss in CUSA play. All right, so for my producer Jackson and for all of you listening in, I'm Dylan Simmons saying so long and have an electric night.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit choosechip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Auctions are easy, fast, and profitable.
I've always been a big fan of auctions. Get instant sale, no contingencies.
That means the sale of your property won't depend on an inspection, financing, or appraisals.
I've known the guys over there my entire life.
Call Parks Auction and Realty or visit parksauction.com.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Parks Auction Company, committed to auction excellence.
Sold it to you, 27 and a half.
Next on All Sports Talk, it's the Blue Raider Insider Report with Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and let's talk about some awards. Conference USA has put out its Commissioner's Honor Roll for 25-26, and a total of 3,718 student-athletes have earned recognition to the Commissioner's Honor Roll during the academic year. Middle Tennessee had a total of 229 of those 3,718 student-athletes named to the list. Student-athletes named to the Commissioner's Honor Roll maintain a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or better and have completed at least one academic semester at the institution in the spring of 2025 or the fall of 2025. And the full list of student athletes from all Middle Tennessee sports are located on goblueraiders.com. Also, Conference USA has put out its Faculty Achievement Award winners, highlighting outstanding faculty members and their dedication to teaching, commitment to their respective fields of study through research and devotion to making a difference through service in their campus communities. And for Middle Tennessee, Lalo Davila, professor of music at MTSU, an internationally acclaimed percussionist, composer, and educator whose 38-year career has left an indelible mark on the performing arts, has been named a faculty achiever. A prolific creator, he has authored more than 50 compositions and 10 instructional books used in music programs worldwide. His performances span global stages and major entertainment productions, including television, film, and video game soundtracks. As an educator, Professor Davila is renowned for his ability to cultivate talent, mentoring generations of students into successful professional careers. His teaching blends technical mastery with creative expression. So congratulations again to Lalo Davila of the College or Department of Music at MTSU, winning the Conference USA Faculty Achievement Award. All right. Softball is home this weekend. Middle Tennessee back in action against Louisiana Tech for a 3-game conference series. It all begins tonight, as all softball series and all baseball series on this Easter weekend, instead of being Friday, Saturday, Sunday, are going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Middle Tennessee enters the weekend after battling Sam Houston in its most recent Conference USA series. The Blue Raider pitching staff was a bright spot. Braylon Hall and Torrey Kaufman combined for 3 consecutive complete games and a 2.90 ERA over the weekend. The game tonight here at Middle begins at